Imagine a successful doctor living in the heart of Chicago, bringing home a staggering $380,000 every single year. She appears to have reached the absolute pinnacle of professional and financial success today. This doctor drives a brand new leased luxury BMW and sends her kids to the most expensive private schools in the city. She enjoys dining out at high-end restaurants almost every single night of the week. Her monthly mortgage payment is a massive $4,200. On paper, she looks incredibly wealthy to everyone around her, but her bank account tells a very different and much darker story right now. In reality, she cannot even come up with $5,000 in cash without selling her precious belongings or going further into debt. This is not a hypothetical story, it is a common American tragedy. According to a recent 2025 Goldman Sachs report, 41% of Americans earning between $300,000 and $500,000 are living paycheck to paycheck. They are struggling just like everyone else. Even more shocking is that 40% of those earning over $500,000 report the exact same financial struggle. Read that again because it sounds impossible to the average hardworking person today. 4 out of 10 people making $500,000 annually feel they have absolutely no financial cushion at all. They earn more in a single month than many Americans earn in an entire year. Yet, these high earners experience the exact same crushing financial anxiety as someone earning only a small fraction of their salary. The common assumption is that a higher income automatically solves all financial problems forever. Most people believe that once they hit 6 figures, the stress will disappear. They think that crossing the $500,000 mark makes money irrelevant. But the data tells a completely different story. What you are witnessing is called the high-income poverty trap. People earn more, spend significantly more, and save the exact same percentage of nothing, only to wake up at age 55 wondering where it went. This trap does not care how much money you make. It only cares about how much money you actually keep. This isn't about judging anyone's spending habits, but understanding a dangerous pattern affecting millions. Let me show you exactly how this trap works, who falls into it, and how to know if you are already caught. The numbers reveal something very counterintuitive about financial stress in modern America. Research from 2026 shows that Americans earning $100,000 are more likely to report living paycheck to paycheck than those earning $50,000. Higher income correlates with higher reported financial strain in brackets. A major study found that 48% of those earning $100,000 or more feel they are living paycheck to paycheck. Among those earning over $200,000, 36% report the same. Bank of America's analysis defined living paycheck to paycheck as spending more than 95% of income on necessities. They found that approximately 20% of households earning over $150,000 qualify. Nearly 24% of all American households meet this desperate definition in 2026. These are not people who cannot do basic math. They are often highly educated professionals working in very demanding, high-status careers. These professionals understand compound interest and retirement projections perfectly well. They know they should save more for their future, but the trap operates on complex human psychology rather than simple grade school arithmetic or logic. When income increases, spending increases in direct proportion. This is called lifestyle inflation. It happens so gradually that most people never notice it until they are buried under a mountain of expensive monthly lifestyle obligations. A $15 lunch slowly becomes a $25 lunch. The reliable Honda becomes a shiny new BMW. The adequate apartment becomes a massive house with a guest room that absolutely no one ever actually uses. Each individual upgrade feels completely reasonable at the time. You feel like you earned it and can afford it. The math technically works for now, but the upgrades compound while your savings stay flat. Once a luxury becomes a routine part of your life, downgrading feels like painful deprivation rather than simply returning to normal. This psychological effect is what keeps high earners trapped in their expensive lifestyles. Research on actual millionaires tells a completely different story than how most high earners live their lives. The classic study, The Millionaire Next Door, revealed that most real millionaires do not look rich. Research from Ramsey Solutions found that 94% of millionaires still live in middle-class or modest neighborhoods. They do not feel the need to show off their wealth to their neighbors or friends. A 2026 study showed that over 62% of everyday millionaires still budget, shop for deals, and avoid extravagant lifestyles even after crossing the $1 million threshold. They remain disciplined with every single dollar they. The typical millionaire has rarely spent more than $399 on a single article of clothing. About 60% of them live in comfortable homes worth less than $500,000. Warren Buffett still lives in the same modest house he bought in 1958 for only $31,500. This creates a fascinating paradox between appearing wealthy and actually being wealthy today. The doctor driving the leased BMW looks much richer than the plumber driving a 10-year-old truck. However, the plumber might have $2 million in investments while the doctor has a negative net worth. The authors of The Millionaire Next Door created useful categories: prodigious accumulators of wealth and underaccumulators of wealth. A janitor can be a PAW, while a high-paid doctor can be a UAW. Their formula is simple. Multiply your age by your pre-tax annual household income, then divide by 10. That specific number represents what your net worth should ideally be if you are building wealth correctly. A 50-year-old earning $250,000 should have approximately $1.25 million. Those below this threshold are under accumulators, spending their high income rather than building any lasting wealth. Most high earners fail this test dramatically. The Charles Schwab 2026 survey found that Americans believe you need $2.3 million to be considered wealthy and $800,000 just to feel comfortable. Meanwhile, the median net worth of American households is approximately $193,000. The gap between what people think they need and what they actually have in their accounts is truly enormous. Here's where psychology takes over. When you earn $400,000 but have a low net worth, you don't feel wealthy. You feel behind. The hedonic treadmill keeps moving and you keep running. 63% of respondents said it feels like it takes more money to be wealthy today compared to last year. The goalposts keep moving, and the definition of enough is constantly changing for everyone. High-income households earning over $100,000 had an average credit card balance of $12,760. In 2026, the top 20% of earners hold a massive share of debt. Lower-income households use credit to survive and buy necessities. However, higher-income households use credit to maintain a lifestyle that technically fits their income but leaves absolutely no margin for error or emergency savings. Total U.S. credit card debt reached $1.277 trillion in late 2026. This is the highest balance since tracking began in 1999, showing a massive increase in consumer debt across all levels. 36% of credit card holders earning $100,000 or more carry a balance from month to month. Debt is becoming chronic rather than temporary, even for those earning top-tier salaries in America. The fixed cost trap is particularly dangerous. When you earn $300,000, you qualify for mortgages that stretch your budget thin. You end up spending $8,000 a month just on housing. Private school tuition, car payments, and country club memberships become lifestyle commitments that function like fixed costs. Pulling a child out of school or selling a home feels like a public admission of failure. According to research, 47% of six-figure earners are delaying dream vacations, and many are stalling home renovations. These delays signal that high earners recognize they are stretched far too thin right now. The U.S. personal savings rate stood at a low 3.6% in December 2026. Americans are saving only $3.60 for every $100 of disposable income they earn. During the pandemic peak, the savings rate hit 33% because stimulus checks arrived and spending opportunities disappeared. That money is gone now, and people have returned to their old, poor spending habits. Someone earning $75,000 who saves 4% is vulnerable. But someone earning $300,000 who also only saves 4% is equally vulnerable relative to their much higher lifestyle costs and monthly obligations. Actual wealth accumulators invest at least 15% of their annual income before paying for anything else. They pay themselves first, treating savings as a non-negotiable priority rather than an aspirational goal for later. The difference between saving 4% and 15% compounds dramatically over 30 years. The 15% saver builds substantial wealth, while the 4% saver only has a modest, insufficient cushion for retirement. Social comparison accelerates the trap. Social media shows everyone else's vacations and purchases in real time. People feel immense pressure to keep up with the Joneses, even when the math doesn't support it. Six-figure workers feel inadequate because they compare themselves to the top 1%, or to filtered social media versions of people who might be even more leveraged and in debt than they are. Food delivery spending increased 10% recently. These small convenience expenses, like delivery apps and streaming services, accumulate silently. $179 a month on delivery is over $2,000 annually. Add up streaming services, ride shares, and subscription boxes, and the total creeps towards significant money that vanishes without providing any lasting value. High earners do this with even larger, more expensive categories. The high-income version involves first-class flights and luxury hotels instead of economy and Airbnbs. Each individual upgrade feels minor, but they compound into a lifestyle that requires the full income just to maintain. Research shows that 44% of millionaires spend more on experiences than luxury goods. They are extremely selective about what matters and cut costs ruthlessly on things they do not value at all. In San Francisco, you need $4.4 million to be considered wealthy. Living in high-cost areas inflates both expenses and expectations simultaneously, making a high salary feel like a very average one. Someone earning $350,000 in New York might feel financially constrained because taxes and baseline expenses consume a huge portion of their income. They are earning coastal salaries but paying coastal prices. Contrast this with actual millionaires. 79% received no inheritance at all. Many built their wealth on modest incomes through consistent, disciplined behavior over very long periods of time in their careers. 73% of millionaires never carried a credit card balance. They understood that compound interest should work for them, not against them. They stayed on the right side of the financial equation consistently. The average millionaire worked, saved, and invested for 28 years before crossing the $1 million threshold. Most did not reach that milestone until around age 49 through slow and steady progress. This timeline matters because it shows what the high-income poverty trap costs you. If you save nothing for 15 years, you lose the most valuable compounding years that can never be recovered later. The escape route exists, but requires making uncomfortable choices. Breaking the trap demands confronting a difficult question. What is all this spending actually for? Is it for happiness or just for status? That doctor making $380,000 could save $100,000 annually if she chose to. She earns enough money, she just spends enough to prevent any real wealth from ever accumulating. Choosing differently means accepting that the luxury BMW can be a simple Honda. It means realizing that private school might not be strictly necessary and that home cooking is better than expensive restaurants. You must realize that a house with extra guest rooms mostly exists to impress people who do not actually matter in your life. These are just trade-offs made visible for your financial future. The high-income poverty trap is not about deprivation, it is about intention. Most people never consciously chose their spending patterns. They accumulated expenses gradually until their entire income was fully committed every month. Reversing the pattern requires auditing every recurring expense. Ask yourself if it still delivers value proportional to its cost. Often, subscriptions go unused, and expensive memberships provide status more than any actual utility. The automation principle works at any income level. Saving what is left after spending never works. You must spend what is left after saving. This simple shift in behavior changes everything for your net worth. Someone earning $400,000 who automates $120,000 to investments will build significant wealth. They still live very well, just slightly less extravagantly than someone who saves absolutely nothing at all. The delta between those two people compounds dramatically over time. After 20 years, the saver has generational wealth and freedom. The spender has only lifestyle memories and minimal assets to show for their career. If you earn $300,000 and save 30%, you accumulate $90,000 annually. At 7% returns over 20 years, that becomes roughly $4 million. That is the power of consistency. If you only save 5%, the same timeline produces only $650,000. The difference is $3.35 million. That is the true hidden cost of the high-income poverty trap. People optimize for the wrong variable. Optimizing for lifestyle means maximizing current consumption at the expense of future flexibility. Optimizing for wealth means accepting current constraints in exchange for having many future options. A $200,000 income with a 30% savings rate builds wealth much faster than a $400,000 income with only a 5% savings rate. The math is simple. 77% of Americans do not feel financially comfortable regardless of what they earn. Income alone does not solve financial problems. Only intentional choices create the security that people assume comes with high salaries. The trap is real, but breaking it is possible. It requires admitting that more money was never the final answer. What you actually do with the money you have is what matters most in the end. Let's take a closer look at the psychology of the high earner. Why do we feel the need to spend more just because we make more? It's a social pressure that few can resist without a plan. We often confuse standard of living with quality of life. A high standard of living is expensive, but a high quality of life often comes from financial peace and having no debt at all.